And thanks everyone for attending this. It's great to see like-minded people who are interested in technology in nonprofits. Meenu wanted me to elaborate a little more on what I do. I think she covered it all, but a couple of points that I would like to mention because it might benefit you. One is PQ1, we'll be going through the session today and you'll get an idea about a nonprofit CRM. And PQ2 is for grant-making organizations. We are in the beta stage of it. So I thought I'll say that here because when you are working with a funder or a grant-making organization, you can probably bring this up, or this can be a touch point for them saying that there is a CRM that will benefit them, which has the entire workflow of collecting applications, reviewing applications, and disbursing amounts and communicating with NGOs. So it has all the workflows. So in case you want to talk to them and it's not about asking money, there is a touch point for you. Then about the book, I teach Indian leaders for social sector, and we have like 2 cohorts a year. So what I realized when I was teaching is
I'd request all of you to please mute yourself, and when we have the Q&A session, you can unmute and ask your questions. Please go ahead.
Okay. So the reason I wrote the book is as I was going through the sessions, I realized that I'm not reaching, or this information is not reaching a whole lot of people. It is just those 2 cohorts in 1 year, so that's the reason I wrote the book. And go ahead and check it out. It's on Amazon, and I hope it's going to benefit you to raise money through writing proposals. Going back to the housekeeping, we did discuss a little bit about Q&A, and one of my discussion with Meenu was, if you have a question as we move along, I don't want you to lose your train of thought. If you have a question, put it in chat. We can address it as we go along, or or immediately because we are on the same slide. So please go ahead and do that. So we will be going through the slides, and then I'll demo a very, very short demo of the product just so that you can have an understanding about the product. And that's it. So if everyone is ready, let's jump in. I'll share my screen. You can see my screen, Meenu, or everyone, anyone?
Yes, Priya, you can see us.
Okay. So the topic of today's session is harnessing CRM for nonprofit success. So what we can do is we can start with imagining a nonprofit, okay? And imagine a small nonprofit Asha Bhavan. So with just 5 dedicated staff members and a handful of volunteers, their mission is of educating marginalized children in the Darbhanga region of Bihar. And they're very passionate about their cause. But before implementing a CRM, Asha Bhavan struggled with disorganized donor information. You know how it is. You can see the office, it's all over the place. You're looking for information. And I have had experience with NGOs when I work with them in the consulting sector, that when you ask for information, the information I get gets delayed. Then they don't know whether they send it through WhatsApp or they don't know whether they send it through email. So we take a long time to figure out where this information is. So I'm very familiar with this process. So even if you're not imagining, it's in real life too, as you all know. So what happened is they had inconsistent donor communications. They had difficulty tracking volunteer information and a limited ability to analyze what impact they're making and what kind of fundraising they were doing. So in 2021, they decided that to invest in a nonprofit CRM system. Within the first year of implementation, the results were remarkable. Now we are organized and we are looking only at information that is important for the impact. The CRM system provided Asha Bhavan with a centralized database for all their contacts, automated their key information or key communication, and offered powerful reporting tools. So this allowed them to make some data-driven decisions and tell their impact story more effectively to their supporters. So this was Asha Bhavan's impact after implementation. So what was the bigger change was their KPIs. You can talk about communication and all that, but is it measured? Once they measured it and they realized that the donor retention increased by 35%. And when you say that the donor retention increased, why is that important to your organization? Because donor retention is 7 times cheaper than donor accumulation. So when you are trying to find a new donor, and I do work with several nonprofits in different capacities, like in consulting and CRM implementation, in my classes and my sessions, and what I realized is there is always an urge for any nonprofit and any fundraiser to find that new donor. They think that there's some other donor out there that's going to bring more money or new money. But what they lose is people who are in the system or people who have been in the system for years, who already told you that we are interested in your nonprofit, we are interested in your mission. So that is where your focus should be. And that is why you should be focusing on donor retention. So currently we work with an organization that has been in the industry for 30 years. And I think that's probably one of the oldest if you think about it. And when we onboarded them to the CRM, they had only 300 records or 300 entities. I mean, between corporations, individuals, only 300. So, it was a shock to me. So I said, why the number is low? Because they said it is only the donors for this year and last year. So all the donors that they had in the past 30 years, they don't have them. They don't have any information of them. So this is where the loophole is when you don't have a system. Okay. Then the next is increased overall donations. This is an important factor to consider also because this is the bread and butter of your organization. Then increased overall donations. Increased volunteer engagements, because volunteer engagement was very important to Asha. So that was something that they had to focus on. And because they were a lean organization, that is the support that they needed. And to have a system to manage volunteers, volunteers also get engaged and volunteers also gets empowered. So they want to be more involved in your organization, because now they can see their real effort. When you give them the data, when you give them the report, it gives them a positive feedback, and that's why they want to get involved. So now increased volunteer engagement is one. And then because it is all automated and because they didn't have a lot of manual tasks to be done, they saved the time for the tasks that they normally do by 50%. So when that happens, you're doing more with less, more work with less time. So this will improve efficiency. So this is your ultimate goal, right? Which was to provide safe haven to more beneficiaries, and the numbers increased for them by 40%, which resulted in more smiling faces. Next, we will have a poll before we get into the nitty-gritty of what a CRM is. Let's do the poll. Lavi will be launching the poll for you.
John, you can also respond through the poll that you can see on your screen. I hope you can see it.
Okay. I guess it's done. Okay. Oh, we're still doing it?
No, I think we have closed it, Priya.
Yeah,
I'll
we
just
have closed it. Okay.
share the results so that everybody is also able to see.
Okay, so we have one who says yes and we love it. I would like some feedback from that person who is in the session. And yes, but we are struggling. Okay, no, but we are considering it. Okay, no, and okay, so 4 of you are not sure whether you need one. Okay, I might be able to convince you today. Okay, thank you for the poll and thanks for the feedback. So this is going to be the agenda for the session. We'll learn a little bit basics. We'll cover some of the functionalities. We'll go through the donor cycle and CRM. We'll cover some of the basics, the case studies, some of the myths that you might have about CRM and next steps. You know, as an organization, if you're interested in doing it, what are the next steps that you should be doing? And of course, the Q&A and a little bit on the demo. So what is a CRM? So the reason I included this definition and also the reason for this webinar is when I'm doing, when we are interacting with nonprofits about the CRM, I get a lot of questions related to technology, but it's not about the CRM. And this is one of the reasons we decided of doing this webinar because and this is mostly for small to medium nonprofits. So this is more like an educational session for what is a basic CRM about, you know, so if you have more questions, definitely reach out to me, which is probably outside the scope of this session. We'll go into what is a CRM and how the basic functionalities work. So the CRM is a relationship, I call it the constituent relationship because you don't have customer, because you're not selling anything other than feelings, but it's not really selling. So I call it the constituent relationship management. And it's a software platform that helps organizations manage and optimize their relationship with all their stakeholders. That would be the donors, the volunteers, the members, if you are a membership-based organization, and all the other supporters. So it serves as a centralized database for collecting, storing, and analyzing valuable information about an organization's constituents and their interactions. So who are the entities that your nonprofit works with, and what are the interactions you have with each entity? That is what the CRM is doing. And why is it important today? Because it is the backbone of your organization. It is basically the Microsoft suite or Google suite for your organization and for your fundraisers. And it streamlines your operations, it enhances communications, and it provides actionable insights. So that should be the driving goal of your work for fundraising. But again, you know, as with any technology, it's not the technology, but it's about transforming how you connect with your community. So these are functionalities. I'm not going to go too much into it because almost all CRMs have the similar functionalities. I'm going to share the slide with Satwa. So when you are done with this and you want to look at what functionalities my organization has, you can definitely go through it. Basically, the one is the donor management and the donation management. That is the key to your organization. Then you have the grants management, the campaign, reporting analytics, volunteer. Again, all this depends on what kind of organization you have. Events management, membership management, you have mobile applications, social media linkages, machine learning and AI. And you also, the system also has some expense management and project management, depending on how big your organization is. But I recommend that you go slow, go small, take baby steps. I have onboarded several nonprofits by now, and I know that it gets very overwhelming and it gets very cumbersome, you know, when you think about the big picture. And I know based on the data that I received that most of you are small to medium nonprofits. So go slow, go small, baby steps, like I said. And I'd like to recommend James Clear's Atomic Habits. So you can divide everything into small pieces and then drive through those small pieces to get to your overall goal. So that makes it very simple for you. So this is the basic donor cycle. So again, like I said, all the what we are going to do today is to understand how fundraising happens within your CRM. And a lot of your questions were related to that. So that's why I'm covering this and taking a little bit more time on this section because to answer most of your questions. So what you see in the circle is the donor cycle. And donor cycle is moving your prospect. You call it prospect. Prospects are potential donors. Everybody is a potential donor who has not donated to you. So you have prospects and you have donors, donors who have donated and prospects who are potentially going to donate to your organizations. So you are moving those prospects along the cycle to make sure that not only that they give or contribute to your organization, but they continue to contribute to your organization. They're going to level up and be a part of your family forever. And that's what a CRM helps to do. So you're not losing 30 years of work because you don't know what happened to the data. And as the employees turn over and as the CEOs turn over, you don't know what happened to those people, but you definitely value the donors who gave to your organization. It does not matter at what level, and it does not matter whether it is service or whether it is money. So either they're volunteers, whether they are donors, whether they're cash donations or HNIs, they all gave to your organization for a reason, and you need to be mindful that you need to value them. And that is one of the reasons that you need a CRM, because you can value them and they don't fall off the radar for you. So for all the circle, as I said, is donor cycle, and all the stuff that is outside of the cycle is the functionalities that you can do within the CRM to drive that cycle, because driving that cycle is what gives you increased revenue. So first step in that is, so what this helps is to get a 360-degree view of the donor. So the first step is to add data to the CRM. So when you say add data to the CRM, it could be one at a time. It could be uploading data from what you have currently in your system. Probably it is a CRM that doesn't work for you, or a CRM that, or an Excel spreadsheets that, it's all over the place. So any of this could be the point of origin for the data. So once that is added into the CRM, you are in the assessment stage. You also can call it as the qualification stage, and that will have the basic information. And what basic information are you looking for? It could be contact information, PAN card, employment relationships. Currently one of the organizations that we're working with also wants to include all the research they have done in the back end about this for a CSR foundation or a corporation or an individual. So all that work has to be uploaded here. So once all that information is here, you have a basic understanding of what a donor or a prospect is. So once that is evaluated, you're moving, oh yes, let's move them to the cultivation cycle. So we are going to see talk to them, meet with them, do phone calls, emails, WhatsApp, chats, SMS, however you are going to do activities with them, you're going to record those activities in the system. And once that is recorded, so we are going through several activities. You have to have 11 touch points, not have to have, minimum 11 touch points for a donor to say yes to you. So you know how many activities that takes. And you have to see the history of the activities to make sure that eventually there's a yes at the end of it. So once that is a yes, they say yes to the donation. And once that is a yes, then you send a proposal, whether it's or a concept note when it is a CSR company, or when it is a grant making organization outside the country or inside the country, you're sending a concept note or a proposal. So all the stages of that, you're sending it, but they are rejecting it, or you're sending it, you have to iterate it, you have to edit it, you have to change the amount. All those information can be recorded in the system. So you can save the proposal in the system. So those proposals, once you submit them in an ideal world, they say yes to it, and they give you the donation. And when the donation is made, you can send acknowledgements, you can send receipts, and you can send, if it's the pledge, say they're going to say that, okay, I'm going to give you 100,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees, and they give you the first installment and you haven't received the second installment, you can set up reminders. It could be there for recurring gifts. It could be there for retail donations. However, if they're making a pledge, you can set up recurring you can set up reminders. So you don't have to think about it. The system will automatically do it. So all those can be recorded in the system. And once that donations are made, that is your solicitation stage, where you made the ask and where you receive the money. That is the solicitation stage. And when you are doing gifts, as you all know, it's not one source, right? It is coming from Give India. It's coming from Crowdera. It's coming from the bank as a transactions. So all the direct deposits that are going to the bank. What do you get? You get a list of transaction list. And as far as I know, or at least the ones that we work with, they have to manually upload that information into their CRM or into their front end or into the Zoho books. So all those information can be automatically captured in the system, and that will go into your CRM. And once that is gone into the CRM, by the end of the day, you can get reports about what donations were made, who made it, all those beautiful things that you need to know. And also you can upload that information, all the information you entered as gifts in the system from all the sources at the end of the day can be downloaded and uploaded into automatically, into your accounting software. So that your accounting software and the CRM should always be in tandem. You should always match. But that doesn't mean you need to do a lot of work to get that in sync. So this is something you can do at the end of the day to make sure that it matches. So once the solicitation cycle is done, and once all the work related to it is done, you move your prospects or donors into the stewardship mode. And in the stewardship mode, what is your goal? Your goal is to steward the gift of the donor so that they will keep giving, they will continue to donate, or they will up their donation. This is your, and where would they go from the stewardship? They're moving to assessment, because you know that you're assessing for the next gift. You're making sure that there is another gift and you're continuing that cultivation cycle. And the stewardship, how do you manage stewardship? You send them newsletters. I'll show you a copy of the newsletter that we send from our system. So you send mailings, and it can be bulk mailings. So the thing with mailings is you don't have to, you segment your data. So once you segment your data saying, these are your first time donors, or these are donors, and it is easy to do in the system, right? These are I'm sure you all have struggled with this. So these are donors who gave less than 10,000, but like I said, do not ignore anyone, because you never know how they will turn around tomorrow. So all these donations who gave under 10,000, you can group them and send them an email just from the fundraiser or the CEO of the organization saying that, hey, thanks for the gift. We appreciate your interest in our organization. We appreciate so everything. As you go through the cycle, you understand that the donor is the hero of your story. So that is why you have a CRM, and that is why you are doing all the work, because the focus is always on the donor. So this is why you're doing all the effort. So mailings has to be done. You have to have all these touch points, and CRM makes it easy for you to have the touch point. And also currently we are working with a nonprofit who is interested only in WhatsApp. They don't want the touch points to be, because apparently the donors want it only in WhatsApp. So this is how you are being donor centric. So considering their preferences is one of the key things to make sure that the donor continues to love you. So that is one of the things that you do in the stewardship mode. Understand the donor and make your work according to what their preferences are. So that kind of covers the entire cycle of your CRM. Any questions on that? That was a lot to handle, and I hope you didn't get overwhelmed. Any questions in the chat?
Not so far.
Not so far.
If
Okay.
anybody has any questions, like we mentioned, please feel free to drop it in the chat. or just raise your hand or unmute and you can ask the question.
So moving on, what is the importance of the CRM? And so some of you had questions about the pros of CRM. So one thing it does is it improves efficiency. All the things I said is making it so if your work very efficient. And whenever you have a centralized information, then that makes it very easy for any member of your organization to access it. And also scheduling reminders, making sure that you're doing all the follow-ups, that improves efficiency. And engagement, like I said, being donor-centric and making sure what the donor wants and keeping them engaged, sending them a happy Holi, sending them a new year card. None of these are hard when you are doing through the database, otherwise it becomes a chore, I understand. And all this results in increased maximizing funds for your organization. And what the other thing, the reason that you increase funds is because you are connecting with the donor through multiple channels and depending on how they like. So that also improves. And also when you do campaigns, you're going through multiple channels. That also helps with increased fundraising. And overall, this increases productivity and efficiency. So when you say benefits of the CRM, we can look at it from three main stakeholders, the donors, the nonprofit, and the fundraisers. So these are the three areas or three-pronged approach of which can provide benefit through the CRM. So for donors, it's improved experience and engagement. And now they feel like you care about them and they feel like you have to be part of that organization or they want to be part of your organization. So that is where the donor experience is. I'll give you an example. We work with a foundation called Udayan Foundation. And what they do, they want us to do is they have different initiatives. So see that the other thing with nonprofits, everybody is unique. So one of the things that we strive to do is match what you want to do and appreciate your uniqueness. So we are going to provide you what you want. So with Udayam Care, what we are trying to do is, or what they want us to do and what they're working on, which they have done for years in a very hard way, is to enter donations with, say, if you give to education and 10,000 to education, 1,000 goes to books, 1,000 goes to uniform, 1,000 goes to teaching. So what happens is the donor says that I'll give to this, but this is where I want all the gifts to go. And they have different, many sub initiatives. So now what they want to show is show the donor is where all these sub initiative gifts are going. And at the end of the day, what is the total? So that is something that is a nonprofit being extremely donor centric. You're giving gifts and they make sure that you're getting it the way you want it. So that is being personalizing. And then now the donor appreciates that. And tailored messages and tailored thank you notes, and these are all something that probably you always do, and somebody gave like a bigger amount or somebody upped their amount. These are reports that you can take from the system or continuously donated for the last 5 years. Do any of you know who gave to your organization for the last 4 years? Small amounts, but they were consistent. So those things you need to capture because these are the donors who are keeping your operations in existence, without being too specific about, this should go to education. Sometimes they give to annual amounts and that keeps your light running, so those are the donors you need to appreciate too. And for nonprofits, you already know that because of all the things that we have discussed now, easy to access, easy to manage, gets a 360-degree view of the donor in one place. It's easy to collect information. It's easy to send information. This helps the nonprofits a lot. It also helps with, I said, donor segmentation. That helps the nonprofits because you might find, again, this is another nonprofit we were working with, said they lose a lot of people that they haven't seen before. I mean, they have given before, but they have not identified in any of their workflows. So that is something they're working on. They're working on to find all the donors that who have donated any amounts. So, but still thank them. So I have an interesting story that when I worked with a nonprofit, at HNI, he has a foundation, and we applied for a grant with the foundation, and in a week back, a week later, we heard back from them that the founder of the foundation doesn't want to donate because apparently he gave money to the organization in honor of Ambani's daughter's wedding. And it was a big amount, but it came through Give India or one of those crowdfunding sources. And needless to say, because that amount was not in the radar of the CEO, that enough thank yous and enough donor communication was not gone out, the HNI got offended and we lost a big amount or big donation from the foundation. So this is why you need to be very intentional about your fundraising efforts. Also, when you select CRM, you have to understand that your nonprofit, you might be small now, you might be medium now, you have one person in your organization, but one day you're going to scale. So you have to understand that whatever CRM you choose will scale with you. Okay, so scalability is something that you don't think about because you're struggling to run your operation on a day-to-day basis, but that is something that should be in the back of your mind. We are working with a nonprofit who is a single person. So it's interesting that when nonprofits approach me, they say they're very small, they're grassroots. But nothing can be grassroots as a one-person organization. So we are working with an organization, onboarding them for a CRM. The good thing is you will not lose anybody who has given any donation, unlike the 30-year-old organization, right? So there is never a good time to do it. The earlier, the better. I always tell nonprofits that it will be harder when you do it early because you are running so many different things. You're doing programs, you're evaluating, you're monitoring, you're doing everything. You're raising money, which should be 90% of your job or 70% of your job. But the earlier the better, because this makes it easier, and automated tasks makes it easier to reach more donors, and also make sure that all the donors know that you care and you have enough touch points with them so that they will be recurring and future donors forever with you. And fundraisers, well, you know how it helps fundraisers. It's so most of you probably have that in your job title or in job description. Automating tasks is the key for you. Not spending too much time on manual labor is what is a fundraiser is always looking at. And it enhances the ability to track and manage donor relationships. Moving from one stage to the other stage, who is moving them? It's the fundraiser moving them. So it helps them to manage that cycle and that relationship. And basically, any alert, any reminders, all those things can make a donor's life, can make a fundraiser's life happy or fruitful and productive. And targeted campaigns is something that the one-person organization I said is interested, because he has these groups of donors who like to be contacted in a certain way for certain initiatives. So that is something that a fundraiser likes, where you can contact this group because they have talked to you about a certain initiative that they're interested in. So that is targeted campaigns are something that that a CRM will help you achieve. So there is data out there, real data that says that organizations have seen improved donor retention rates by 20 to 30%. And that is huge because it costs 7 times more to acquire a new donor. So it's much, much cheaper to work on your current donors, like I said before. So that is the key. So with the CRM, nonprofits have seen increased retention rates. and also improved donations. And that improved donations by 25 to 40%, depending on which nonprofit and how you use it. And time saved is by 30%. So when you save time, you can use it for more important stuff or raise more money. And a nonprofit for tech, nonprofit tech for good is has a report in 2023 saying that almost 70% of the nonprofit use a CRM to track donations and manage communications. And the reason they're doing it, I'm sure it is US data, but the reason they're doing it is because it improves efficiency and it makes life easier, and it helps to increase donations. So that's the reason that so many has, I'm sure that everybody doesn't have a budget, but if you prioritize that, then you will have a budget, and then you will see more money in your overall efforts. So that's something that the data has proven. And again, all these are pros that someone had asked in the feedback that, or in the questions that Satya had. So these are case studies. So in 2012, Donate Life is an organization, is a nonprofit, made the transition from, they had a in-home fundraising CRM. It's not a CRM, it's a database. And from there, they moved into a good CRM, a really developed CRM. And prior to this, prior to the conversion, we will be going through a little bit of how to do your homework. Prior to the conversion, they did some homework. They spent a year evaluating everything. And first, what you need to do is to figure out what you want in a CRM. What are your pain points? So that's what basically they did. They had a wish list of the stuff that they want to achieve, and the database would be, so what are the priorities of your database, to manage. So for them, it was to manage contributors, to manage volunteers, and they also had events. And that volunteers were conducting. So all these had to be captured in the system. And the staff documented all this process that they want to do, involved everybody in the process, and they identified that these functionalities were key to them. And they selected this a CRM based on 3 criteria. And one was, it is a nonprofit CRM. And there are a lot of CRMs that are developed for profits. So when you massage the for-profit CRM to the nonprofit CRM, it might not meet all your needs. Probably it will meet your needs today, but it might not meet your needs in another 10 years, because that's not what the CRM was built for. So then you go back to the developer, then you talk about what your need is. So that's why for them, it was a priority that it has to be a nonprofit CRM. And the second was, again, cost is also always an issue. So you have to look at what was the upfront implementation cost. So they had money to give on a monthly basis based on their budget, but they didn't have a lot of implementation or upfront customization cost. So that is something that they considered. And the third one was they wanted a developer who was friendly and easy to work with, which is hard to find developers these days who will dedicate time with you. So that is something that they looked, and based on that, they moved into a CRM. And prior to the moving into the CRM, they had the clear expectations that, who needs to be doing what, and what are they expecting from it. So eventually they moved into the CRM. And throughout the migration process, actually, there was one person dedicated to the implementation, the homework, the implementation, the usage of it. And ultimately, each person had, they made sure that each person had something that they required and recommended that they wanted in the CRM. So that's why you need to have a buy-in from everyone. So they will eventually make sure that they will use it. And then the other one was the Vitiligo Society, and it's the same story. And they had the actually, what happened with them is they were so disorganized. Theirs is a membership model, because vitiligo is that the skin discoloration. So they have a membership model, and they were collecting money from the members, but they saw that even though the percentage of the vitiligo community was increasing, their membership was declining. So they were trying to make efforts on the front end, saying that, okay, we need to get more members, but they didn't have anywhere to record this information. So then they started using the CRM and getting the membership part of that more active, making sure that members get information, making sure that members, you collect their money from them and all that. And that is when they saw, I mean, that's the reason they wanted a CRM. And they made it that they call it the digital and cloud first approach. And that's how they started increasing their membership. And then after they implemented, they saw increased support, increased engagement from their donor base, their supporters and all that, and then streamline their fundraising activity. And what they wanted to do was provide more value to the members, not only take money. So that's what eventually they accomplished. So basically, you have to know what you are looking for in a CRM, and then take good notes and do the homework, and then look at what you really need. So we're going to look at some of the myths. I keep hearing this. So I thought Mythbusters was one of the things that I need to cover. So myth one is a CRM system is only for large organizations. But based on the information I gave, we have a 30-year-old organization and we have a one-person organization. So it's not really, and again, I say that the earlier the better, because you don't have to unlearn something, because when you are in Excel and you are in other CRM systems, you for a long time, you have this distorted business processes because that's what the CRM or whatever you have right now allowed you to do. So if you are starting small, then you can set up a process that meets the industry standards. So that's the first myth. The second myth is CRMs are too expensive for nonprofits. It's not. I mean, I wouldn't be having a one-person, or we wouldn't be having a one-person organization if it is expensive. So that's the second. I mean, it is all about priorities, right? So CRM system is alone is good for managing donor relationships. That is a myth where you're talking about a CRM system is a powerful tool, but it's not just enough. You have to work with it to make sure that it works. And you have to have enough training and ongoing management to make sure that this is going to be useful for you. So since AI is hot now, I thought I'll also add that AI and automation will replace human interaction in donor management. That is being discussed a lot these days, probably not as much in India, but that is not true. You really need that human interaction. There's only so much you can do with AI. Definitely AI can bring in money. That's text fundraising, all those things are still there. Even phone, there are robocalls that raise money. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's zero that they do raise money. So, but there are systems and technologies in place to do that, but still human is the one behind it. And it's the face-to-face human interaction that gets you that traction for donor relationships. And you need that fundraising team for that. So myth 5, CRMs are only useful for the sales team. I have heard that too. So that's not true. It's valuable across various departments. When I say sales, I'm talking about the fundraising. So it's not just for that, it's for everyone. One of the organizations we work with, they have an accounting team who has access to it, partly because they have to look at the PAN card and all that information and also upload it to the accounting finance software. So that is, and getting a 360-degree view, the communications will have access to it because they want to send newsletters. That has nothing to do with fundraising, but they still do, depending on how large your organization is. But every piece of your function of your organization will need access to the database. And anything to do with donor, they need the donor information. So and anything to do with the fundraising organization is doing with the donor. So that's why everybody has to be involved in the CRM and everybody has to be using the CRM at some level. Myth 6, CRMs are an added burden for already, I'm sure you all feel that, an overloaded staff. In the short term, yes, but you have to make that sacrifice somewhere so that you can scale. So it is because you have so much going on, you are also doing programs, you're also doing projects, you're also doing monitoring and evaluation. A lot of people are wearing different hats. But the idea of a CRM is to make your life easier by making it a little bit automated. So you don't have to do it the hard way. So it's going to make your life a little easy, though learning, training, implementing, as with anything else, is the harder part, but it will kickstart your organization and you to the next level. So where do you even start? I'm sure that was one of your concern when you thinking about a CRM. Where do you begin? So the step one is preparation. Like I have been saying through the webinar, that assemble a team. Like everybody is a stakeholder in your CRM. So assemble the team, make sure that everybody gets to talk about it, make sure that everybody, the good thing with that is when they know that they're involved, the chances of them using it will be more. And evaluate your situation, like Donate Life and like Vitiligo Society did. Go back and look at what is it that you're struggling with? What is it that will help you, or that you need help to make your life a little bit easier in your fundraising efforts, that is the other thing. Then what current technologies do you have? Sometimes you might have MailChimp. Does MailChimp integrate with your CRM? Does your accounting software integrate with your CRM? Or do you want that accounting software? Or do I want MailChimp? Can I get rid of MailChimp if I can do newsletters through my system? So all these are things that you can think about when considering a CRM. Then establish your needs. What is it that you really are looking for in a CRM? Are you looking at improved donor communication? What is it that you're struggling with? Are you looking to improve touch points? Are you looking to complete the donor cycle? Is that where you're struggling with? So are you trying to see where if you can upload all your documents and proposals in one place? It could be all of this and some of this, but make sure that you know what your pain points are so you can work on it, or you can understand where you can go with it. Budgeting, set a realistic budget for the CRM software and the implementation cost. Like Donate Life they didn't have an implementation cost. They didn't have money for implementation cost. So make sure that, if that is what you're struggling with, you can communicate that to the vendor, and then you can probably opt for something that doesn't have a big implementation cost in the front end. But make sure that you know what the budget is and what you can work with. Second is research and selection. Now that you know what you want, what you need, go look out what is out there. So you can look at all the CRM providers. You can look at the features, what they provide. I would say that don't go by the shiny things that they provide, because you might not need that. And if you are going for a nonprofit CRM, they will definitely have something down the lane. So go with minimum what you need, and make sure that the vendor that you go with has the capability to expand when you need them. And you can compare the features if something is very important to you, that you want all the social media. I have heard it all actually. We would like all the social media information to be in the CRM. I'm not sure how much that is going to help your fundraising. So stick to what helps your fundraising and a need, what helps you to move that needle when it comes to increasing your fundraising. So if it doesn't, that is not the priority for you today. You can do it tomorrow when you have time. When you're talking burden your staff, that is burdening your staff, right? So look at the minimum that you need to make sure that you are going to move forward with CRM that is going to help you make your life easier and move the needle. So those are the minimum things you should look at. Rest everything should be there. It's good to have, not must haves. So that is something that you need to be thinking about when you're comparing features. Everybody has lots, so especially because the organizations are asking you if you have it, and if not, I'm just going with B. So now what everybody is doing is, oh, I have everything, so don't go anywhere and shop anywhere, because we have everything. So that's where you need to think about, do I need everything? So the other thing, when you're comparing features, you also need to look at how the IT is going to help you. Do you have an in-house IT? So one of the reasons we started the CRM is because what I realized is most nonprofits cannot make an upfront donation. I'm so steeped in donation by now. Upfront cost cannot meet the upfront cost. And so we wanted to make it affordable on a monthly basis for nonprofits. And also what I realized is most of you don't have an in-house IT. Unless you're a large organization, you don't have an in-house IT. So we are going to meet your needs where you are. So that is where the IT needs, you have to look at what your IT capabilities in-house and then see what they will provide. I keep seeing that in the request for a Salesforce vendor to do the development of the CRM. If that is painful for me to see, because so now you got 10 licenses and you don't have vendors that you can do it for you. That is just a sad scenario. So that's why you have to see that if that is what you want and if that meets your goals for your organization. And clean your database. We have worked with several organizations where a couple of fields are merged into one. So, there are a lot of business processes that probably you need some digital cleanup before you think about a CRM. You can always think about a CRM before you migrate into a CRM. So make sure that your data is clean and in the right order. All the names are in the name and all the emails are in the email column. It's simple, but because I have seen it, I just have to mention that. Make sure your data is clean, and also whether the part that system configuration, some vendors would like you to customize the CRM for you, or they require you to customize it. They will let you know how to do it. Is that something that you want? Do you want all the system configuration done by the vendor? Then that is something you need to think about. Again, it all depends on how big you are and how much you can get done in your organization. And setting up some vendors can give you access to set up your own accounts. You can create user ID and password. Or do you have that capacity to do it? Or some can do it for you. So think about, whether that is something that your organization can do. Step 4, training and user adoption. What kind of training do you need? What are the functionalities? What training you need in each functionality? So make sure that everyone who is using the system, which I think everybody should be using the system, should get training in it. Make sure that everybody spends some time in it so they can navigate the system easily and reach the goal of using the system 100% sooner than later. So that is one of the goals that you should be having. And the user support, what kind of support does the vendor provide you? What kind of support do you need? Do you need ongoing training? Do you need ongoing management, ongoing customization? So you have to think about all that before you transition. And also, because everybody is loaded with all the other work they're doing, you have to incentivize usage of the CRM. You have to appreciate that people are using it, so they keep using it. And make sure that that is something that they want to do, and their life is made easier because of that. So the last step is, once you are transitioned or once you have your CRM, make sure that you have a business process for ongoing cleaning of the data. Because without clean data, it's garbage in, garbage out. You are not going to get good reports. You're not going to get good segmentation. You cannot analyze your data. So as you go along, make sure that you're doing the right things to make sure that the CRM is more user-friendly and productive for you. And performance monitoring. Performance monitoring is you can make sure that you can track the usage of the database, not for the database usage, but like a fundraiser is meeting with their donors, you can look at that in the CRM. You can make sure that the fundraiser's performance metrics can be measured in the CRM. So how many activities have the fundraiser done? How many, especially for you, those of you who have dedicated fundraisers, make sure that you measure their activities. Everything doesn't result in a donation. Everything doesn't result in big amounts. I mean, if it takes 18 months to raise a good major gift, minimum 18 months. So that doesn't mean the fundraiser didn't do it. So what you need to do is you need to measure the activities of the fundraiser. So the more activity you do, there will be more money at the end of it. And that is the whole idea. That's why you have to have a CRM to measure, make sure that the fundraisers activities are measured. So the fundraiser is also feeling good about the stuff that they have done and the stuff that you are measuring. So the money is not there, that doesn't mean the fundraiser is sitting idle. So that makes the fundraiser also feel good about it. And as your organization evolves, be prepared to adapt the CRM by customizing features and integrating additional tools. So like I said, you go with the nonprofit CRM. So as your nonprofit grows and as your nonprofit evolves, you can have more functionalities in it.